What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So this one's going to be a little bit more chill compared to usual. So this one is going to be going over my stretching routine. So it's a bit of a recovery day. I'm going to be jumping into the ice bath. We have got a little bit of a surprise in store for you as well. And I am going to be going over my colossal amount of post-show treats. So stick on, stay tuned, and I really hope you enjoy this video. If you do, please subscribe, like, comment, share some love. Alright guys, so I have pretty damn tight hamstrings, so that is usually the first place I go to. So I've just finished my cardio, come off the bike or the treadmill or Stairmaster, so I'm pretty warm, which is what you always want to do when you start your stretching. So I'll usually go through the middle, go to one side, stretch that side out a little bit more, then I'll just slowly rotate onto the other side. I find that works best for me, and then I'll take a big deep breath and then come straight back down the centre again. Try and get my hands as flat on the floor as I possibly can, just to get that extra stretch in there up my hamstrings. Then next, moving on to quads. So we're just going to go with the one that most people know. Pretty basic but pretty effective. Just standing single leg quad stretch. So I'd usually hold these for 30 seconds at a time, but sped the video up a little bit just so you're not getting completely bored. I must have just seen somebody that I knew. So I'll hit both sides of those for the quad stretch. We'll then go into a little bit of an adductor stretch. I get really tight hips as well, especially up the inside of my legs. I find that if I don't stretch them, then I end up cramping quite a bit, especially when I'm like putting my socks on and stuff in the morning. I'll usually hold these quite for a good bit of time. We'll then be moving on to a little bit of a hip flexor stretch, just to try and keep the hips nice and loose. I'll usually hit both sides in this one for about 30 seconds as well, just to make sure everything's nice and sort of loose and mobile. You know, I find that these benefit the likes of my squats, lunges, Bulgarian deadlift or Bulgarian split squats really well. So it's definitely something that you can incorporate in. Then I'll do sort of a mixture between a child's pose and an upward dog, or cobra stretch some people call it. I just find these are good for the hips, my lower back, spine, your posterior chain in general. And then speaking of, I would start to move on to cat cows. Just once again for stretching out your lumbar, your spinal erectors, that sort of thing, and your core muscles across your abs. They're just super good for you. I'll then go into this like slightly deeper quad stretch. It's nearly like a bit of a hip flexor, but throwing my foot up against the wall. I just find that I get a super big stretch up my quads, across my hips, and also in my adductors as well. So after 30 seconds I will jump onto the other side for that one as well. Just get a little bit of stretch, just make sure everything's nice and even. Then moving on, I'll lie against the wall with my legs, scooch myself in as tight as I can so that my bum is touching the wall, and then I'll just go into this sort of split stretch and just sort of keep moving. You can see me wiggling my toes a little bit. I find it sort of helps me loosen up a little bit more if I move within the stretch. That was some good advice a friend gave me. It's really helpful. If you can move in the stretch, go for it. Then moving on to glutes. So I'll throw one leg up, one leg across, and then so this one will be stretching my right glute, and then moving once again, and then moving on to the left glute, much the same thing. So you're trying to get your knee up to your chest as close as you possibly can, and you should feel that coming all the way up your glutes. Then moving on to our next stretch, a bit of somersaults there. Then some functional stretching. So obviously you're sitting in the depth of your squat. You want to make sure you're pretty damn mobile in your hips, adductors, quads, hammies, that sort of thing. So I'll spend a little bit of time sitting down into a heel elevated squat. So that's lower body done. So moving on to a little bit of upper body. I'll be starting to stretch my lats next. Just on my back, traps, rhomboids, that sort of thing. Once again, moving within the stretch, making it nice and beneficial. Then I'll slowly roll up, just to try and get as much of a stretch from the base of my back all the way up to the top. Then giving it a spin around and working on my chest and shoulders, pecs, a little bit of biceps there too. I find to get a bit of a stretch. You have to be super careful with that one because your chest is very delicate and you don't want to risk tearing any sort of tendons or ligaments around the shoulder. Speaking of shoulder, next one up I'll be hitting is my front delt and my biceps. It's a good all-in-one stretch. I'm moving on to the side of my shoulder, so my medial deltoid. So I'll hit 30 seconds one side, and then we'll go spin, and we will hit 30 seconds on the other side as well. Just dropping the ear to the opposite shoulder. That'll give you a big stretch up your neck and your traps as well. Moving on from that, then we're going to go into a nice deep tricep stretch. So trying to keep the hands nice and close to the sides of the head. Really should try and keep my elbows a little bit closer again, but must have got a pretty damn good stretch there, so I'm going to stick with it. Moving on, next bit up, I've had a couple of injuries in the past with my rear delt and my rotator cuff, so I like to look after them. So we're just literally moving from toe to head with these stretches. So I'd lie across my shoulder, get a nice stretch. You can see I'm feeling there in the back of my shoulder just to make sure I'm getting the stretch where I want to. Then moving on to a couple of accessory muscles now, so we're just moving on to the likes of our forearms, just your wrist flexors. I'll hold that for a little bit, and then we're just going to flip that over, and we're going to be working on our wrist extensors just to make sure that we're covering absolutely everything. But that is my stretching routine, and I hope you enjoyed. Alright guys, welcome back. So we have got our cardio done, we have got all our stretching done, so next up we have got is the ice bath. So I've got a lazy spa at the back garden. Managed to get one yesterday off of a good friend who was so kind as to let me borrow it in the coming weeks, coming up to shows. Just until I can get my own sorted. I'd love to get like a whiskey barrel or something and make a cool ice bath out of that. But pretty sick. But yes, so gonna jump in the ice bath, go 15 minutes in there, and then after that, later on in this video, you will see the absolute monstrosity of bits and bobs that are up on top of my wardrobe for post-show treats. Have to say I'm a little bit disgusted in myself. I don't touch them. It's strangely one of the ways that I cope with prep is when I'm out shopping. I just buy nice looking things and nice tasting things, but for some reason I'm just not tempted by them. It's each to their own. It's weird, but you will literally see the chaos that is up on top of there. So I have got some exciting news. I got a delivery through the door, something that I sort of got made on a whim, just as like taking a big sort of leap and a new milestone in my life, starting my YouTube and stuff. And there's also another reason for it, which I will reveal in due course. But in this box we have something that is very special. I'm going to put it up the wall and all will be revealed. Stay tuned. Okay guys, so the surprise is ready. So just in the previous clip I had a box, and in that box was something that I got made, custom, just as a little bit of a milestone for me sort of starting YouTube and moving along some different ventures. But you ready for the big reveal? In 3, 2, 1... Look at that. So I got a custom neon sign just for my desk space, my editing space, of my logo, my custom logo. So I'm dead pleased with it. It couldn't have turned out better. I was just over the moon. It's just nice to have something that signifies this sort of step in this journey that I'm starting to take and put a lot of time and effort into. And it feels really good. But stay tuned for the next part of the video where I reveal my post-show treats. So, in hindsight, I feel quite ashamed of myself. So usually the way I cope with prep is every week when I go and do my shopping, like my grocery prep shopping, like chicken, rice, broccoli, all the rest of it, I usually buy one or two wee like treats or like things that I'm like, oh god, I can't wait to have that afterwards. And I've had a couple of other people who have just sort of bought me stuff along the way as well to have once I finish, and it has gotten a little bit out of hand, just a little bit. So I don't think you're prepared for this, but I'm just going to show you anyway. Look at the absolute hack of that. The absolute hack of that. So I've got a few boxes of really nice cereal, courtesy of Lidl, because I think their cereal's far better than anywhere else. Like branded stuff. We've got a few Easter eggs, some Sour Patch Kids, Frutella, Happy Hippos, some biscuits, milk tray, more Easter eggs. We've got that pink box is like it's like a box of like custom chocolates from Charlene's Chocolate Factory. Their stuff is amazing. You need to go and check it out. Couple of bags of Sour Patch Kids, strawberry bonbons, pinballs, and then like little sweets from Lidl and stuff. So, yes. So to be honest, probably going to end up just giving some of this stuff away, most of it probably, because there's not a chance I'm going to eat all that, because I really don't want to rebound and get really fat. So I'll probably just enjoy a few wee bits and pieces, and then, but yeah, so that's how we cope. And it just literally sits up on top of my wardrobe for the entirety of the time, just collecting dust. So yeah, so that's a way to end the video anyway. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always guys, if you want to see more, please subscribe, like the video, turn post notifications on, send me some love, and I will see you next time.